The broadcast image froze on my phone. Ellie's face twisted in a sneer, pointing directly at the camera. Cal was just dead weight. Folks, her words echoed through the silent coffee shop, louder than the clatter of porcelain. My name flashed across her screen, a public divorce filing. Then my face, blurred, cropped from our shared life. The barista, a kind-faced woman, looked away, knowing, some people, Ellie added, a venomous smile spreading. Just don't understand the brand. Cal reflects on the collapse of his life with Ellie. Their millions of followers, and the dream team persona he helped build. He acknowledges the warning signs he dismissed, and the small cracks he chose to ignore in their perfect facade. The abrupt end to everything came from a single notification, a single, accidental click. 5 years earlier, Cal worked in digital advertising, attending a marketing conference in Seattle. He met Ellie Hayes, an ambitious lifestyle influencer, already making a significant impact. His co-worker, Ben Carter, noticed Cal's obvious attraction and teased him about networking. Cal gathered his courage and approached Ellie during lunch, observing her intense focus on her phone. Ellie explained her constant updates were to keep her demanding followers engaged with everything. Cal introduced himself. Ellie impressed him by recognizing his work from his morning presentation. Her captivating hazel eyes, an unusual, almost golden shade, drew him in immediately. Their initial lunch extended to coffee, then a late dinner, marking the beginning of their connection. Ellie passionately discussed building a personal brand through authentic living and fresh ideas. She revealed her philosophy. Real is whatever story you choose to tell, Cal. The key is believing it yourself. Cal found himself completely captivated by her unwavering ambition and undeniable charisma. It was funny, thinking back on it. Funny how you could construct an entire life, brick by careful brick, and then watch it crumble into dust with just one notification. One accidental click. Ellie and I had built something big, something they called a dream team. Millions of followers, brand deals, a perfect life curated down to the last filtered sunset. We sold aspiration, and for a long time, I bought into it myself. The warning signs, when I looked back, were clear enough. Small cracks in the perfect facade, easy to overlook when the light was just right, when the numbers kept climbing. I'd chosen not to see them, or maybe I'd simply chosen to believe the story we were telling. It felt real enough then. 5 years ago, Seattle rain slicked the streets outside the convention center. I was there for the annual Digital Marketing Summit, pushing ad campaigns for a regional car dealership. My job was straightforward. Optimize conversions, track metrics, keep the client happy. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills and offered a certain kind of stability. That morning, I'd given a presentation on audience engagement, a topic I understood more scientifically than spiritually. Afterwards, Ben Carter, my cubicle neighbor from back in Grand Rapids, clapped me hard on the shoulder. "Nice work, Cal," Ben said, his grin wide. "You almost made banner ads sound exciting." We found a table in the crowded lunch hall. The air buzzed with networking chatter and the clatter of plastic cutlery. Ben gestured with his sandwich towards a woman across the room. She sat alone, hunched slightly over her phone, a small army of power cords snaking from her bag to various devices. Even from a distance, she commanded attention. Her red hair, pulled back in a neat pony, caught the fluorescent light. "That's Ellie Hayes," Ben murmured, chewing. "Ellie, they call her. Heard she's the next big thing in lifestyle influencing. Already pulling down 6 figures, apparently." I watched her for a moment, her thumbs flying across the screen. She barely looked up, a focused intensity in her posture. Ben nudged me. "She's got a line forming for her session later. You're networking, right?" "Go talk to her," he snorted, clearly unconvinced I would. "Don't just stare, Cal. You're obviously smitten." His words made my face warm. I took a deep breath, finished my lukewarm coffee, and pushed back my chair. Approaching her table, I saw the fierce concentration in her eyes. She wore a simple black dress, but it seemed to hold its own against the muted conference hall colors. "Hi," I started, feeling a little clumsy. "Mind if I join you?" She startled, her head coming up quickly. Her eyes were an unusual shade of hazel, almost golden, and they took me in quickly, assessing. She glanced at the empty chair beside her. "Sure," she said, her voice smooth. But she immediately returned her attention to her phone. "You seem pretty busy," I observed, settling in. She tapped furiously for a moment longer, then sighed, finally setting the phone down. "My followers get antsy if I don't keep them updated," she explained, a faint note of weariness in her tone. "About everything. From what I had for breakfast to my thoughts on the latest social media algorithm change. They expect constant connection." "Cal," I offered, extending a hand. "Cal Miller. I work in digital advertising." She took my hand, her grip firm and brief. A small smile touched her lips. "I know who you are, Cal Miller," she said, surprising me. "I caught your presentation this morning. Good stuff on conversion rates. You really understand the numbers." The compliment caught me off guard. Most people found my data-driven approach dry. We talked then, the conversation flowing easily from marketing trends to personal aspirations. Lunch turned into coffee at a quiet corner cafe, then stretched into dinner at a small Italian place downtown. The Seattle rain continued, a soft backdrop to our shared ideas. Ellie, full of an electrifying drive, spoke passionately about building a personal brand. Her concept was authentic living, connecting with an audience by sharing a curated version of your true self. "Real is whatever story you choose to tell, Cal," she said, leaning forward across the table, her golden eyes glinting in the restaurant's dim light. "The key is believing it yourself and making sure your audience believes it too." I listened, captivated. There was something magnetic about her ambition, a raw energy I hadn't encountered before. She articulated a world I only processed through spreadsheets and analytics, breathing life into it, making it feel vibrant and limitless. I felt myself falling, pulled in by the sheer force of her charisma. The way she made even the most cynical aspects of online branding sound like a grand, genuine adventure. Cal and Ellie became inseparable after the conference, their connection deepening rapidly. Ellie recognized Cal's natural charm, suggesting he could be more than just a corporate ad man. She proposed a partnership. "Your analytical skills, my content expertise. We could build something huge." Within 6 months, they were dating and actively collaborating on digital content. Ellie meticulously coached Cal on how to appear camera-ready, turning ordinary moments into engaging stories. Their first viral video documented a spontaneous weekend trip to Portland, every detail pre-planned by Ellie. The video quickly garnered 500,000 views, filled with comments praising their genuine love. Ellie was ecstatic, stating, "This is just the beginning. People are invested in us now." Cal questioned what people truly wanted. Ellie replied, "A love story they can believe in. People are desperate for something real." He later understood her emphasis on real meant perception, not truth, but his infatuation obscured this then. 8 months later, they moved in together, converting a spare bedroom into a content studio for their new Dream Team channel. After the Seattle conference, Ellie and I became inseparable. The phone calls, first professional, quickly stretched into late-night conversations, long after the business day was done. She lived in Portland, I was in Grand Rapids, but the distance felt trivial. Weekends became a blur of flights and shared hotel rooms. She'd visit me, or I'd drive the long stretch to her place. The connection was immediate, palpable. She understood the intricacies of my analytics work, and I found myself drawn into the vibrant, often chaotic, world of online content creation. It felt like stepping out of a gray office building into a brightly lit stage. One evening, as we sat on her small apartment balcony, watching the city lights come on, she turned to me. "You know, Cal," she said, her voice thoughtful, "you have a natural charm about you. It's subtle, but it's there. The camera would love you." I scoffed. My work was behind a screen, not in front of one. I dealt with numbers, not faces. "I'm an ad man, Ellie," I reminded her. "My face isn't going to sell anything but bad posture." She just smiled, that confident, almost knowing smile. "No, you're more than that. You have a way of explaining things, a sincerity. My audience, they respond to authenticity. And you, Cal, You actually are authentic, even when you're trying not to be. She paused. Then the real pitch began. Listen, your analytical skills, your understanding of algorithms and reach, combined with my content expertise and audience engagement, we could build something huge. Something bigger than either of us could do alone. The idea, initially startling, slowly began to make a kind of sense. My career felt predictable, a steady climb up a ladder I hadn't truly chosen. This was a jump, a gamble, but with Ellie, it felt like an adventure. Within 6 months, our relationship had solidified into more than just dating. We were partners in every sense of the word. We began actively collaborating, merging her artistic vision with my data-driven strategies. My corporate job became an afterthought, then a part-time gig, then a resignation. The shift was surprisingly smooth, driven by Ellie's unwavering belief. Ellie became my meticulous coach. Our ordinary moments were no longer just moments, they were potential content. She'd observe me across a coffee shop table, then pull out her phone. Don't look at the camera, just engage with the moment. Smile, but not too wide, like you're genuinely enjoying the conversation. Or, when you're talking, remember to keep your hands still. It makes you seem more confident. She taught me how to find my light, how to speak directly to an unseen audience, how to convey emotion without explicitly stating it. She had an uncanny ability to transform mundane daily events into engaging narratives, finding the story in everything, even a trip to the grocery store. It felt like learning a new language, one spoken entirely through glances and curated gestures. Our first video to truly pop was a spontaneous weekend trip to Portland. Ellie had planned every single moment of it. The specific coffee shop where we'd discover a new latte. The viewpoint where we'd stumble upon a stunning sunset. The quirky bookstore where we'd randomly pick up a new read. I remembered the shot list, crumpled in her purse, a map of manufactured serendipity. We spent an entire Saturday filming, reshooting scenes if the light wasn't right, or if my smile didn't convey the precise level of relaxed joy she envisioned. When she finally uploaded it, titled Portland Getaway, Just Us, it quickly garnered 500,000 views. The comments flooded in, a torrent of praise. "You two are couple goals," one read. "Their love is so genuine, you can just feel it," another gushed. "It's so refreshing to see a real couple living their best life." Ellie was ecstatic, bouncing on the sofa as she scrolled through the comments. "This is just the beginning, Cal," she declared. Her eyes bright. People are invested in us now. They see themselves in us. I watched the numbers climb, a strange satisfaction mixed with a faint unease. "What is it, though?" I asked, looking at the screen. "What do people really want from us?" She paused, her finger hovering over a particularly effusive comment. "They want a love story they can believe in, Cal. They want to escape, to feel something. People are desperate for something real." He understood later what she meant by real. It wasn't about honest truth. Not exactly. It was about creating a perception, a meticulously crafted narrative that resonated with their audience's deepest desires. It was about making people feel like it was real. But then, caught in the intoxicating pull of her vision and my own infatuation, her words simply made sense, fitting perfectly into the grand picture she was painting for us. 8 months after that first conference, we found an old house in a quiet Portland neighborhood. Moving in together felt like a natural, inevitable step. The spare bedroom, small and sunlit, was quickly converted into our dedicated content studio. We set up softbox lights, a green screen, a microphone, and 2 sturdy tripods. Above the door, Ellie hung a small, hand-painted sign that read, "Dream Team." Cal conceived the idea for their proposal video, but Ellie took complete charge of its execution. Pike Place Market, their first official date spot, was chosen and transformed into a spectacle. The night before, Ellie meticulously outlined the flash mob sequence, aiming for absolute perfection. The video, showing Cal on one knee amidst dancers, captured Ellie's tearful yes and quickly hit 1 million views. Cal privately remembered the reality, the numerous takes for her reaction, and 12 ring close-up reshoots. He rationalized her intensity as perfectionism, a dedication to delivering the best content to their audience. Their wedding planning became a content series, Journey to Forever, securing lucrative brand deals. Ellie skillfully managed negotiations, marketing their love story. We're not just planning a wedding. We're building our future. The wedding was a social media extravaganza, flawlessly directed by Ellie with multiple cameras and live updates. "You two are literally couple goals" became the most common comment across their platforms. Their Bali honeymoon content surpassed even the wedding series in viewership and engagement. Ellie explained her boundary setting. "Mystery is important. Not everything. That's what keeps them coming back." The idea for the proposal video was mine. A simple thought. Capture the moment. Share it with our growing audience. But Ellie, as always, took it further. She didn't just execute. She orchestrated. Pike Place Market in Seattle, where we'd had our first official date, became the stage. She envisioned a spectacle, something worthy of Hollywood, but with the raw, emotional punch of real life. The night before, she laid out the plan in our living room, the blueprints for a flash mob spread across the coffee table. 50 dancers, hired through a local agency, would suddenly erupt in coordinated movement as I dropped to one knee. We'd rehearsed my timing, her reaction. Her golden eyes were intense, focused, as she reviewed the schedule. "I just want it to be perfect, Cal," she murmured, tracing a finger along the timeline. "This isn't just a proposal. This could be our biggest video yet. We need it to feel spontaneous, but look flawless." The day itself was a blur of controlled chaos. The crisp Seattle air, the scent of fresh fish and flowers, the murmuring crowd, it all faded into the background as the music swelled. The dancers burst into motion, a kaleidoscope of color and synchronized steps. I found Ellie in the designated spot, her back to me, unaware. My heart thumped a nervous rhythm against my ribs. I dropped to one knee, the ring box clutched in my hand, my rehearsed line feeling both genuine and utterly theatrical. Her gasp, her hands flying to her mouth, the glistening in her eyes, it was all captured by the 3 hidden cameras Ellie had positioned. Her tearful yes was followed by a roar of cheers from the market-goers, many of whom were in on the act, coached by our production assistant. The video, uploaded less than 24 hours later, hit 1 million views within the first week. The comments were effusive, full of heart emojis and declarations of eternal love. People praised our genuine connection, our fairy tale romance. They saw the magic, the spontaneity. What they didn't see was how many takes it took to get her reaction just right. How Ellie insisted on 12 reshoots of the ring close-up, demanding a specific angle that emphasized its sparkle. I remembered the director whispering to me, "Just hold it still, Cal. We need that perfect shot." At the time, I rationalized it as her unwavering perfectionism, her dedication to providing our audience with the best possible content. It was about the dream, after all, and dreams required careful crafting. Our wedding planning became its own content series, Journey to Forever. Each step, from choosing the venue to tasting cake samples, was documented, edited, and uploaded. The engagement generated a new wave of lucrative brand deals. We partnered with a bridal boutique, a luxury resort for our honeymoon, even a catering company. Ellie, always the shrewd negotiator, handled all the business ends. "We're not just planning a wedding, Cal," she'd tell me, reviewing contracts, her brow furrowed in concentration. "We're building our future. Every detail is part of the story." The wedding itself was a grand social media extravaganza. Multiple cameras, discreetly placed drones, live updates from our social media manager, all flawlessly directed by Ellie from behind the scenes. She looked radiant in her dress, a vision of carefully managed beauty, moving from one planned photo op to the next, with effortless grace. We exchanged vows under a canopy of flowers, the setting sun creating a perfect golden hour glow. Every moment was picturesque, every smile perfectly timed for the cameras. The comments section exploded. "You two are literally couple goals" became the ubiquitous phrase across all our platforms, printed on merchandise, even trending for a brief afternoon. Our Bali honeymoon content surpassed even the wedding series in viewership and engagement. Daily vlogs showed us exploring ancient temples, lounging on pristine beaches, sharing intimate dinners. The illusion of a perfect, sun-drenched romance was flawless. But even then, amidst the beauty and the carefully curated intimacy, Ellie maintained a boundary. We never showed everything. Mystery is important, she'd explain, adjusting a camera angle for a sunset shot. Not every detail. That's what keeps them coming back. They want to imagine some parts, to feel like they're getting a glimpse into something truly private, even when they're not. It was a delicate balance she walked, between revelation and calculated concealment. And she was a master of it. Their daily life became a relentless rhythm dictated by content creation. Morning routines, fitness collaborations, cooking segments, and live Q&A streams filled their schedule. Ellie managed the business, networking with brands, while Cal focused on analytics and video editing. Cal expressed pride as their subscribers hit 1 million, feeling they were truly living the dream. Ellie, engrossed in her phone, gave an absent-minded kiss and a dismissive, "Of course we are." Cal later identified this as a critical, missed warning sign of her emotional detachment. He admitted his pride in their achievement and his immersion in their perfectly crafted story. Subtle, almost imperceptible cracks began to appear in their facade. Ellie started spending more time networking at industry events, often leaving Cal to edit. Late-night emergency meetings with sponsors became more frequent, which Ellie handled alone. New faces, especially one particular man, started appearing more often in Ellie's Instagram stories. Our daily life settled into a rhythm, not of leisurely mornings or spontaneous evenings, but of content creation. It was a factory, efficient and relentless. Every sunrise seemed to usher in a new segment. A morning routine vlog featuring organic smoothies and a sun salutation, followed by a fitness collaboration with a new brand of workout gear. Afternoons were for cooking segments in our immaculately clean kitchen, or DIY home decor projects. Evenings were often dedicated to live Q&A streams, where we'd answer questions from our audience, maintaining the illusion of effortless approachability. Our home, once a private sanctuary, was now primarily a studio, a backdrop for the Dream Team narrative. Ellie, with her innate ability to connect and persuade, took charge of the business side. She was always on calls, networking with brands, strategizing collaborations with other influencers. Her calendar was a dense mosaic of meetings and flights to industry events. My role shifted more solidly to the back end. Analytics, video editing, optimizing our content for maximum reach. I spent hours hunched over my computer, meticulously crafting the narrative, ensuring every cut, every soundbite, contributed to the seamless perfection Ellie demanded. We were a well-oiled machine, each cog performing its function. The day our subscriber count crossed 1 million, I felt a surge of genuine pride, a rare moment where the numbers truly connected to something emotional. I walked into the living room, where Ellie was scrolling through her phone, probably vetting another sponsorship deal. The afternoon light caught her red hair, making it glow. "Ellie," I said, my voice perhaps a little too eager. "We hit it. 1 million. We're really doing it, you know. Living the dream." She looked up, her eyes still holding the distant gaze of someone deep in a screen. She smiled, a practiced, almost automatic gesture, and leaned in for a quick, absent-minded kiss. Her lips felt cool, distant. "Of course we are, Cal," she said, already looking back at her phone. "We're the Dream Team. What did you expect?" In that moment, her words, delivered with a casual dismissiveness, went through me like a draft. But I brushed it off. I told myself it was her focus, her drive. She was always looking ahead, always plotting the next step. It was only much later, sifting through the wreckage, that I recognized it as a crucial, missed warning sign. Her complete emotional detachment from the present, from our shared present. I was too proud, too engrossed in playing my role within our perfectly crafted story, to see the void that had begun to open between us. I was living the dream, but perhaps she was simply managing the brand. Subtle cracks began to appear in our facade, almost imperceptibly at first. The changes were incremental, easy to dismiss if you weren't looking, or if you actively chose not to. Ellie started spending increasing amounts of time networking at industry events. Not just a few days, but weeks. She would often insist I stay home, manage the video edits, keep the content flowing. "It's too much for both of us to be away, Cal," she'd explain, packing her sleek luggage. "Someone needs to keep the home fire burning, keep the channel fresh." I told myself it made sense. Someone had to be the stable presence. Late-night emergency meetings with sponsors became more frequent. These were always handled by Ellie, alone. She'd take her phone into the spare room, or out onto the patio, her voice low and hushed. When I'd ask about them, she'd offer vague reassurances about sensitive negotiations or early-stage discussions. It was business, she implied, not something I needed to worry about. I was the creative, the editor, the loyal partner. She was the face, the deal-maker, the visionary. Then, new faces started to pop up more often in her Instagram stories. Other influencers, other brand managers. And one man, in particular, he was always there. A little too close in the frame. A little too comfortable in her orbit. A tall, impeccably dressed man with an easy smile and a casual confidence that seemed to mirror Ellie's own. His name was Alex Sterling, and he was the CEO of a rapidly growing tech startup, a company focused on influencer marketing. I saw him with her in Tokyo, then Miami, then at a gala in LA. Always smiling, always just out of frame, yet undeniably present. A specific content creator, Ethan Stone, started appearing consistently in Ellie's social media and events without Cal. Cal eventually confronted Ellie about Ethan's frequent presence. Ellie dismissed his concerns, explaining Ethan was a really well-connected content creator beneficial for their brand. She skillfully argued that Ethan's connections were strategically valuable for expanding their brand. Cal, striving to be trusting, accepted her explanation, dismissing his unease as petty jealousy. However, a quiet, persistent suspicion began to fester within Cal. Despite his efforts to suppress it, Ellie became increasingly protective of her phone, taking calls privately or excusing herself from conversations. Their intimate moments together dwindled, with Ellie citing exhaustion or pressing deadlines. Cal felt a palpable emotional distance growing between them. A chill in their once passionate partnership. He attempted to rationalize his feelings as paranoia, a byproduct of their public lives' immense pressure. Ellie suggested Cal take on more business logistics, freeing her for creative development and strategic partnerships. Cal felt increasingly isolated, spending longer hours alone in the studio, editing videos, while Ellie was out. The new face in Ellie's social media content wasn't Alex Sterling, the CEO. It was Ethan Stone. Ethan began appearing consistently, almost a fixture. He was another content creator, handsome in a rugged, outdoorsy way, specializing in adventure travel. He was at the brand launch in Miami, then a charity gala in New York, then a sponsored retreat in Aspen. Always laughing, always sharing a too-close frame with Ellie. Even at events I hadn't attended. It felt like a slow, creeping invasion. Eventually, I confronted her, trying to keep my voice even. We were sitting at the kitchen island. A rare moment of quiet. "Ellie," I started. "I've noticed Ethan Stone is in a lot of your stories lately. Is there something going on I should know about?" The words felt clumsy, accusatory, not what I intended. She met my gaze directly, her golden eyes unwavering. There was no flicker of surprise, no guilt. "Oh, Ethan," she said, a casual shrug. "He's just a really well-connected content creator, Cal. Super useful. He knows everyone in the industry, from the biggest brands to the smallest niche platforms. We've been collaborating on some potential cross-promotion ideas." She leaned forward, her tone persuasive. "Think about it. His audience is huge, mostly outdoor enthusiasts, a demographic we haven't fully tapped yet. His connections are strategically beneficial for expanding our brand, Cal. It's smart business." I wanted to believe her. I wanted to be the trusting, supportive partner she needed. I pushed down the knot of unease in my stomach, rationalizing it away as petty jealousy, a weak emotion unworthy of the dream team. We were professionals. This was business. But despite my efforts, a quiet, persistent suspicion began to fester within me. like a splinter under the skin. It wasn't loud, but it was there, a dull ache I couldn't entirely ignore. Ellie became increasingly protective of her phone. It was always with her, always face down, always muted. Calls were taken in private rooms, or she'd excuse herself from conversations with a curt, "Excuse me, work call." Our intimate moments dwindled. When I'd try to reach for her, to bridge the growing chasm between us, she'd frequently cite exhaustion, a headache, or pressing deadlines. "I'm just so swamped, Cal," she'd say, turning away, her voice laced with a weariness that felt genuine, but also like a shield. "This brand doesn't build itself." You know, I felt a palpable emotional distance growing between us, a chill permeating our once passionate partnership. The laughter, the easy physical affection, the shared glances, they all felt like distant memories, replaced by a polite, professional remoteness. I tried to rationalize my feelings as paranoia, a natural byproduct of the immense pressure of our public lives. We were under a microscope, constantly scrutinized. It was bound to take a toll. One evening, after another solitary dinner while Ellie was networking, she suggested I take on more of the business logistics. "You're so good with the numbers, Cal," she said, scrolling through an email on her laptop. "And the contracts. I really need to free up my time for creative development and strategic partnerships. That's where I bring the most value." Right? It sounded reasonable on the surface. Her strength was the vision, the charisma. Mine was the structure, the back end, but the practical implication was clear. I would be tethered even more to the studio, to the spreadsheets, while she would be out, engaging, developing, partnering, and she would be doing so without me. I felt increasingly isolated, spending longer hours alone in the studio, editing videos of our shared, perfect life, while Ellie was out, forging connections I was no longer a part of. The screen became my window to her world, a world where I was becoming an increasingly minor character. If you're wondering how this meticulously crafted dream finally unravels, stick around to the end to see how life's costly choices unfold. One evening, Cal borrowed Ellie's laptop to upload a finished video due to his own technical issues. As he worked, a new message from Ethan Stone flashed across her screen. The message was brief, affectionate, hinting at a private meeting and intimate details. Cal's heart plummeted. This was the accidental click he had foreshadowed. Despite guilt, an irresistible urge compelled him to investigate further. He discovered a hidden folder containing incriminating messages, photos, and videos between Ellie and Ethan. The evidence was irrefutable, exposing a long-standing, deeply personal affair, not mere networking. Later that night, trembling with rage, Cal confronted Ellie, holding her laptop open to the evidence. Ellie initially denied, then attempted to minimize, but the proof silenced her frantic explanations. A furious argument erupted, filled with Cal's raw accusations and Ellie's desperate, hollow rationalizations. "It was just business, Cal. He's helping us," she screamed, her words echoing falsely. Cal felt an overwhelming sense of betrayal, their perfect life crumbling around him. "Everything we built. Was it all a lie?" he asked, his voice raw and barely a whisper. It was late Tuesday evening. My laptop, after years of heavy use, decided to stage a rebellion, freezing mid-render on a crucial video for an upcoming brand campaign. The deadline was tight. Ellie was out, at another strategic partnership dinner. Frustrated, I finally went to her office, a more meticulously organized space than my own studio. I found her sleek silver laptop on her desk, lid closed. I knew she kept things compartmentalized, but desperate times. I opened it, logging in with the password she'd reluctantly shared months ago. The video files loaded, slow and cumbersome. As the progress bar crawled, a notification flashed across the upper right corner of her screen. A new message from Ethan Stone. It wasn't the usual social media alert. This was from a messaging app I didn't recognize, its icon a discrete, nondescript symbol. The message was brief. "Can't wait for our quiet morning. Beautiful. Coffee, and that view. Just like old times. Don't forget the blueberry scones, our little secret." My heart plummeted, a wave of cold dread washing over me. This was it. The accidental click I'd foreshadowed. delivered with the precision of a surgeon's blade. The words were too casual, too intimate, beautiful. Our quiet morning, our little secret. It was too much. Despite a sharp pang of guilt, an irresistible, visceral urge compelled me to investigate further. The thought of not knowing was unbearable. My fingers, steady despite the tremor in my chest, navigated through her files. I wasn't sure what I was looking for. But I found it. A hidden folder, cleverly disguised amongst obscure system files, marked simply, Projects. Archive. Inside, a torrent. Incriminating messages, dated months back. Conversations that moved from professional to flirtatious, to explicitly sexual. Private photos, videos, Ellie, laughing, touching Ethan's arm, then his face. Videos of them in hotel rooms, on business trips. The evidence was irrefutable, undeniable. It exposed a long-standing, deeply personal affair, far beyond any professional networking or strategic partnership. It was a betrayal, laid bare in cold, hard digital files. I sat there, numb, the laptop screen casting a pale glow on my stunned face. The perfectly crafted story of our lives, the dream team narrative, shattered into a million pixels. Every carefully curated smile, every intimate glance for the camera, every shared laugh now felt like a cruel joke. Hours later, the front door finally clicked open. I was in the living room, perched on the edge of the sofa, the laptop resting on the coffee table, still open to the damning folder. My hands were trembling, rage and heartbreak a volatile mix in my gut. Ellie walked in, her purse slung over her shoulder, her usual poised expression. She stopped, seeing me, then seeing the laptop. Her face, usually so controlled, paled. "What are you doing, Cal?" she asked, her voice tight, a hint of accusation already there. I pushed the laptop towards her, the screen a glaring indictment. "What do you think I'm doing, Ellie?" My voice was raw, barely above a whisper, but it vibrated with a lifetime of broken trust. She looked at the screen, then back at me. Her initial denial was immediate, frantic. "Cal, it's not what you think, it's business. He's a close collaborator. We just had to develop a rapport." "A rapport?" I cut her off, my voice finally rising. "A rapport that includes our little secret blueberry scones and hotel rooms? You think I'm an idiot, Ellie?" She tried to minimize, to rationalize, to spin a story. But the sheer volume of proof, the explicit messages and images, silenced her frantic explanations. There was no angle, no filter, no edit that could save her from this. A furious argument erupted, words I never thought I'd say, accusations tearing through the quiet house. My raw anger met her desperate, hollow rationalizations. "It was just business, Cal. He's helping us. He has connections you could only dream of," she screamed, her voice cracking, but her words echoed falsely in the shattered room. The foundation of our perfect life, the one we'd painstakingly built, brick by carefully edited brick, crumbled around me. I felt an overwhelming sense of betrayal, a cold, empty ache, where love used to be. I looked at her, at the woman I had built my life around, and felt utterly lost. "Everything we built?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. Was it all a lie? In the immediate aftermath, Cal, reeling from betrayal, left their studio home for Ben's place. Ellie's calls to him swung between desperate apologies and veiled threats about their joint brand. News of their separation quickly leaked, though the specific cause was initially secret. Dream Team social media accounts were deluged with speculation and fan theories. Cal, advised by Ben, recognized he could no longer maintain the charade of their perfect life. He posted a cryptic message hinting at personal struggles and betrayal without naming names. Ellie, in a panicked response, released a statement framing Cal as emotionally unstable and difficult. The internet exploded. Fans took sides, media amplified the drama, shattering their perfect image. Brand deals were suspended, contracts reviewed, and sponsorship funds frozen. Ellie's infidelity was eventually exposed via leaked messages and a source close to Cal. The Dream Team brand, their empire, utterly collapsed under the scandal. Messy legal battles began, contesting intellectual property, assets, and financial wreckage. The immediate aftermath of that night was a blur. The argument had left me hollowed out, the air thick with unspoken accusations and the stench of lies. I packed a small bag, just essentials, leaving behind the meticulously curated studio home, every corner of which felt poisoned by the performance. My car, still smelling faintly of stale coffee, became my escape vehicle. I drove until the anger faded into a dull ache, then drove some more, eventually finding refuge on Ben's sofa in his modest apartment across town. He didn't ask many questions, just offered a quiet presence and a fresh pot of coffee. Ellie's calls started almost immediately. They oscillated wildly between desperate apologies, tearful pleas to fix things, and thinly veiled threats regarding our joint brand. "Cal, if this gets out, it will ruin everything we built," she'd wail. Then, almost in the same breath, "You can't just throw away years of work because you're upset. The brand, always the brand, even in the ruins of our marriage." News of our separation, a vague, generalized, irreconcilable differences, quickly leaked to the public. For a brief time, the specific cause remained a closely guarded secret, held only by me, Ellie, and the damning evidence on her laptop. But the internet, always hungry for drama, smelled blood in the water. Our Dream Team social media accounts were immediately inundated with a deluge of speculation, concern, and fervent fan theories. Was it the pressure? Different career paths? The comments piled up, thousands an hour. Ben, observing my dazed state, placed a hand on my shoulder. "Cal," he said, his voice firm but kind, "you can't keep this up. The charade. It's eating you alive. People deserve to know. Or at least, you deserve to be honest with yourself." He was right. I could no longer maintain the elaborate pretense of our perfect life. The weight of it was suffocating. I crafted a cryptic message, sitting on Ben's floor, staring at the gray concrete outside his window. It was short, precise, devoid of specific names, yet heavy with implication. Sometimes, the most beautiful stories are built on the shakiest foundations, and when the cracks finally show, the truth can be devastating. Navigating profound personal struggles and betrayal, the dream is over. I posted it on my personal social media account, the one I rarely used, the one Ellie had always deemed unbrand friendly. Ellie's response was swift and panicked. Within an hour, she released her own lengthy statement, carefully worded to frame me as emotionally unstable, professionally difficult, and suddenly, inexplicably, abandoning our shared vision. "It breaks my heart to share that Cal has decided to step away from our partnership," she wrote, painting herself as the victim, the one left to salvage our empire. "I tried everything to support him through his recent personal struggles, but sometimes people change." The internet exploded. The Dream Team fans, once united, passionately took sides. The drama became a wildfire, amplified by major media outlets desperate for content. Entertainment news shows, online gossip blogs, even reputable culture sites picked up the story. Our once unblemished perfect image shattered publicly, piece by agonizing piece. The professional fallout was immediate and brutal. Brand deals were swiftly suspended, their logos disappearing from our channels. Existing contracts underwent rigorous review by worried legal teams. Significant sponsorship funds, once flowing freely into our joint accounts, were frozen, pending investigation. The empire we had built, brick by brick, content piece by content piece, was crumbling. Then, the final nail. Someone leaked the private messages between Ellie and Ethan. I never found out who, perhaps one of her disgruntled collaborators, or maybe even Ethan himself, sensing the shift in the wind. Whatever the source, the intimate texts and photos found their way onto a prominent gossip site, followed by additional context provided by an anonymous source close to the former couple. The anonymous source, I knew, was Ben. Ellie's infidelity was finally, irrefutably, exposed to the world. The Dream Team brand, Our carefully constructed empire utterly collapsed under the weight of the scandal. The comments sections turned vicious. The ad revenue vanished. What was left was the financial wreckage of our business, and the grim prospect of messy legal battles fiercely contesting intellectual property, shared assets, and the remnants of a life that was never quite real. Cal grappled with profound depression, intense anger, and crushing public humiliation. Losing followers, income, and identity, he starkly realized the devastating cost of a manufactured, performative life. Ellie faced widespread professional ruin, her reputation as an authentic influencer irrevocably destroyed. Ethan Stone also suffered significant professional consequences. His career and credibility tarnished, slowly, painstakingly. Cal began rebuilding his life, consciously stepping away from the camera's intrusive gaze. He reconnected with old friends and estranged family, finding solace in real, uncurated relationships. He embarked on a new, smaller, authentic project, focusing on honest storytelling over performative perfection. Cal accepted that while the price was immense, he gained invaluable freedom from the elaborate illusion. He revisited Ellie's philosophy, understanding he must now tell his real story, authentically. The story concludes with Cal finding quiet, hard-won peace, embracing genuine morality over fabricated success, grasping pay the price. He acknowledged past pain but recognized profound personal growth, seeing the world clearly, beyond filters and narratives. The months that followed were a cold, desolate landscape. I grappled with profound depression, a heavy, suffocating blanket that settled over everything. Intense anger flared, hot and sharp, then receded into a dull, constant ache. The crushing weight of public humiliation was constant, an invisible spotlight that followed me even when I was alone. I watched my follower count dwindle, a steady bleed of numbers that mirrored the loss of my income, and, perhaps most painfully, my fundamental sense of identity. The dream team was dead, and I was just Cal Miller again, a name that now felt utterly unfamiliar. I came to a stark, devastating realization: the true cost of living a manufactured performative life for constant public consumption. Every smile, every shared glance, every carefully chosen backdrop had been an investment in an illusion, and the interest on that investment, when it finally came due, was everything. It wasn't just my marriage that was fake. A significant part of who I thought I was had been too. Ellie faced a similar, widespread professional ruin. Her carefully cultivated image as a trustworthy and authentic influencer was irrevocably destroyed. Sponsors pulled out en masse, her follower count plummeted, and the once glowing comments turned venomous. She tried to pivot, to rebrand, but the stain of infidelity clung to her. Her name became synonymous with deceit, a cautionary tale in the volatile world of online content. Ethan Stone also suffered significant professional consequences. His well-connected content creator status became a punchline, his credibility tarnished beyond repair. The algorithm, once their ally, now mercilessly amplified their downfall. Slowly, painstakingly, I began the arduous process of rebuilding my life. The first step was consciously stepping away from the intrusive gaze of the camera. No more vlogs, no more carefully staged moments. Just quiet, unassuming, living. I reconnected with old friends, some of whom had quietly drifted away during my dream team years. Ben was a constant, his pragmatic advice a steady anchor. I reached out to estranged family members, my sister in Michigan, my aunt in rural Ohio. They welcomed me back, not as the influencer but as Cal, offering unexpected solace and genuine comfort in real, uncurated relationships. There were no filters on their faces, no scripts in their conversations, just honest, sometimes messy, human connection. I embarked on a new, smaller project, something authentic to me. I started a podcast, not about lifestyle or brand deals, but about the quiet resilience of Midwestern towns, the untold stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. It was a slow build, no viral moments, no millions of views, but it felt real. It was honest storytelling, not performative perfection. I accepted that while the price I paid for the illusion was immense, I also gained an invaluable freedom from the elaborate prison I once inhabited. The fame, the wealth, the adoration, it had all been a gilded cage. I revisited Ellie's early philosophy, the words she'd spoken that first night in Seattle. Real is whatever story you choose to tell, Cal. But now I understood the crucial distinction. I had to tell my real story, authentically, not a fabricated version designed for public consumption. The story concludes with me discovering a quiet, hard-won peace. It wasn't the boisterous joy of my past life, but a deeper, more resonant contentment. I had embraced a life of genuine morality over fabricated success, finally grasping the true meaning of pay the price. The enduring pain of my past was still there, a scar that served as a constant reminder, but I also recognized the profound personal growth it had forged. I was seeing the world through clear eyes now, beyond the filters and the carefully constructed narrative, finally understanding that true value wasn't found in likes, but in living a life that was, at its core, undeniably real. They say, when your life falls apart, you can usually look back and see the warning signs, little moments that should have tipped you off, small cracks in the perfect facade that you chose to ignore, but I never saw them coming. Or maybe I didn't want to see them. When you're busy playing the role of one half of social media's favorite power couple, you get pretty good at ignoring anything that doesn't fit the narrative. My name is Cal Miller. And until 6 months ago, I was living what millions of people considered the perfect life. 2 million subscribers, to be exact. They watched our daily vlogs, left heart emojis on our Instagram posts, and lived vicariously through what they thought was the ultimate modern love story. The Dream Team. That's what they called us. Ellie and Cal Miller, the couple who had it all figured out. Funny how it takes just one notification, one accidental click, to tear down everything you thought was real. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To understand how it all fell apart, you need to know how it was built in the first place, how we became the Dream Team, and how that dream turned into my worst nightmare. The end.